Take me away before dawn, or they'll kill me. The voice cut through the dark before Thorn Shepherd saw her. He froze, hand halfway to his rifle. A woman stood in his doorway, Apache, bleeding from a gash above her eye, breath ragged. No one came here, not ever. His cabin sat 2 hours by horse from the nearest settlement, chosen for its silence, its solitude. Yet here she was, speaking perfect English with eyes that burned, not with pleading but with cold, hard truth. What chilled him most? She wasn't looking at him. She was staring past him, toward the window, as if she could already see them coming, as if dawn itself were a blade falling. Thorn hadn't spoken to another soul in 3 years, not since fever stole his wife and daughter. He'd built this cabin to forget voices, faces, grief. The valley respected that. Until tonight, she swayed, catching herself on the frame. Torn clothes, blood on her sleeve, feet wrapped in rags. She'd been running for days. "You need to leave," Thorn said, voice rough. "I don't want trouble." "Trouble's already here," she replied, stepping inside without asking. Her eyes swept the room, trained, alert. "They're hunting me. 5, maybe 6 men. Sterling Rhodes thinks I stole his cattle." She locked eyes with him. "I didn't," Thorn's jaw tightened. Rhodes ruled the valley like a king. If he wanted her dead, she had hours. "Then tell him the truth," Thorn said, knowing how hollow it sounded. "I tried." She moved to the window, peering into the trees. "Rhodes doesn't care about truth. He needs a scapegoat. An Apache woman alone? I'm convenient." Something in her voice snagged him. Not fear, but fury. The kind that came from being condemned for crimes you didn't commit. He knew that anger. "Why come here?" he asked. "Why not run deeper into the mountains?" "Dogs," she said. "Horses, guns, I've had no food, no rest. I won't make it to dawn." She met his gaze. "You're my last chance." Thorn weighed his options. Help her, invite Rhodes' wrath. Turn her away, let her die. Do nothing and live with that. "What's your name?" "Kiona." She straightened, exhaustion heavy but defiance sharper. "And before you decide, you should know I know who really stole that cattle." Her voice dropped. Sterling Rhodes' own son, and Rhodes would burn this valley down before admitting it. A distant bark cut the silence, faint but close. Kiona's hand went to her knife, not trembling from fear, from rage. "They're closer than I thought," she whispered. "Decide now." In her eyes, Thorn saw something worse than death. His daughter's face that last night, hope clinging to the impossible. "Who took the cattle?" He asked. "His stepson," Kiona said. "And Rhodes knows it. That's why I won't live to see sunrise." Thorn decided between heartbeats. Not out of heroism, but because listening to dogs tear her apart while he hid. That sound would haunt him past the grave. "The loft," he said, pointing. "Stay quiet." She climbed fast, vanishing into shadow. Outside, torches flickered through the trees. 4, maybe 5. Minutes away, Thorn left his rifle leaning against the wall. Shooting Rhodes wouldn't fix anything, just add his name to the list. The dogs hit first, 3 snarling beasts clawing at his door. Then hooves, horses, men. Sterling Rhodes loomed in the saddle, torch high, face carved from stone. Behind him, Foreman Nolan Cassidy and young Boone Delaney, pale, uneasy, eyes darting like a guilty man's. "You seen an Apache woman?" Rhodes demanded. "Seen nothing but my own land for 3 years, Thorn said. "You know that. Dogs tracked her here. Then your dogs are wrong. Or chasing old scent." "This one's a thief," Nolan snapped. "Stole 6 head? Proof?" Thorn asked. "Ran. That's proof enough." "Since when is running guilt?" Thorn countered. Rhodes leaned forward. "You protecting her, Shepherd?" "I'm protecting sense." "Hang someone without proof?" "That's not justice." "It's murder," Boone flinched. Thorn noted it. "Search the cabin," Rhodes ordered. Thorn didn't move as they ransacked his home. Furniture scraped, dishes shattered. Upstairs, Kiona held her breath. He didn't look up. 10 minutes later, the men emerged empty-handed. "No sign of her," one reported. Rhodes stared at Thorn, then the cabin, then back. "She's close. I can feel it." He wheeled his horse. "We camp a mile out. At dawn, we scour every canyon, every cave." His voice turned icy. "Lie to me, Shepherd, and I'll burn you in this cabin." They rode off. Only when silence swallowed the hoofbeats did Thorn climb to the loft. Kiona crouched in the dark. Knife ready, body coiled. "They're camping nearby," he said. She nodded, lowering the blade. "Thank you for not— Don't thank me yet." He paused. Boone Delaney looked guilty as hell. He's the one, isn't he? Stepson, Kiona corrected. Rhodes raised him. Loves him more than anything. Her voice hardened. Which is why he'll kill anyone who threatens to expose him, even an innocent woman. Outside, a dog howled. Dawn. 4 hours away. 4 hours to choose. Die as the man who looked away. Or the fool who stood. Kiona followed him down, silent as smoke. In the lamplight, Thorne saw her clearly for the first time. Younger than he'd thought. Mid-20s, maybe. Alive. For now. The wound above her eye had crusted over, but dried blood tangled in her hair. Her hands were raw, nails broken from scrambling over rock. She'd fought just to reach his door. "You need to eat," Thorne said, pulling bread and dried meat from his cupboard. "And we need a plan." "The plan's simple," she said, slumping into his chair, exhaustion finally cracking her armor. "When they leave at dawn to scour the mountains, I run the other way. Maybe I make it, maybe not. But you stay. Stay safe. They'll catch you before noon," Thorne said flatly. "Probably." She tore into the food. "But that's not your problem. It became my problem the moment you walked in." He sat across from her. "How do you know it was Boone?" "I saw him," she swallowed. 3 nights ago, I camped near Rhodes Land, heard cattle moving at midnight. Watched a young man, nervous, clumsy, drive 6 head toward the Badlands. Not a pro, just a boy playing thief. Why not report it?" She gave a bitter laugh. "To who? The sheriff who calls every Apache a rustler? Sterling Rhodes, who owns half the valley?" She touched the gash on her head. "Next morning they came for me. Called me a liar. Pulled guns when I tried to explain. Barely got away," Thorne's jaw clenched. "So Boone didn't just steal, he framed you. On purpose or by chance, it doesn't matter. Result's the same." She glanced toward the window. "Rhodes built his power on being just. If word gets out his stepson's a thief, his whole empire collapses," Thorne understood instantly. "So you have to die. Not for stealing," she said quietly. "For knowing the truth." Her eyes held his. "And now you know it too. That makes you a target." Outside, the distant campfire glowed like a warning ember. Thorne paced to the window. 5 armed men, 1 rifle, a woman on the edge of collapse. The odds were suicide. "One thing I don't get," he said. "Why would Boone steal from his own stepfather? Rhodes gives him everything." Kiona stood beside him, close enough he smelled pine and smoke in her torn clothes. "Maybe that's the problem," she said softly. "When everything's handed to you, stealing feels like proof you're real." Thorne thought of his daughter. How she'd push back just to feel separate from him. The memory cut deep. "You lost someone," Kiona said, reading his silence. "Wife and daughter. Fever. 3 years ago." The words surprised him with their ease. "I built this cabin to escape people. Their pity. Their reminders that life goes on. And now I've dragged my mess into your peace." "Yes," Thorne said. Then, after a beat, "And I'm still glad you came." Their eyes met. Not with longing, but recognition. 2 ghosts in the same storm, then barking. Sharp, urgent. All 3 dogs, Thorne's blood turned to ice. "They're not staying at camp." He grabbed his rifle. Through the dark, torches surged. Not away, but toward the cabin. "Fast. They're coming back," Kiona whispered. "But why?" "They already searched." Her face went pale. "The trail. The one I left getting here." They circled around. The dogs picked it up from the other side. Torches fanned out, encircling the cabin. No more pretense. This was an execution. "Loft. Now," Thorne ordered. "No." She gripped her knife. "I won't hide while you—" "This isn't hiding. It's forcing their hand." He met her eyes. "If they drag you out, there are witnesses. Witnesses mean questions. Doubt is our only weapon." She understood. Climbed. A fist hammered the door. "Shepherd!" Rhodes' voice boomed, certain, furious. "Open up!" Thorne took his time. Let them sweat. When he opened the door, Rhodes stood with a rifle aimed at his chest. 4 others flanked the cabin, weapons ready. Boone lingered in the back, face ghost white, hands trembling. "You lied," Rhodes said. "I said I hadn't seen anyone. That was true then. Don't play games." Rhodes stepped inside, forcing Thorne back. Dogs tracked her here and circled the cabin. "She's inside." Nolan and 2 men tore through the place, ripping bedding, prying floorboards, dragging open the root cellar. This wasn't a search. It was a hunt. Thorne stayed still. His rifle leaned untouched against the wall. A gunfight would only give Rhodes an excuse to kill them both. Nothing down here, Nolan reported. Rhodes' eyes lifted to the loft. Up there. 2 men climbed. Thorne's pulse roared, but his face stayed blank. This was it. Then Boone's voice shaky. Wait, Rhodes whirled. What? Maybe there's been a mistake. There's no mistake. Rhodes' tone was final. Help or get out of my way. Boone fell silent, but Thorne saw it. The boy knew. Knew Kiona was innocent. Knew he was the thief. And the guilt was eating him alive. From the loft. Found something. Thorne's breath caught, but the man descended holding only a bloodied scrap of cloth. Fresh. She was up there recently. Rhodes thrust it in Thorne's face. She was in that loft hours ago. You hit her. That makes you an accomplice. Silence thickened. In this territory, harboring a thief meant death. Last chance, Shepard, Rhodes hissed. Tell me where she went, and I forget you helped her. Stay silent? You hang beside her. Thorne looked around. At Nolan's loyalty, the hired hand's obedience, Boone's torment. Then he met Rhodes' eyes. You know what I think? Thorne said slowly. I think you're terrified, Rhodes' face darkened. Careful. I think you're so scared of the truth, Thorne said, stepping forward. You're willing to murder an innocent woman. The rifle butt cracked his jaw before he saw it coming. Pain exploded. Blood filled his mouth. He hit the floor hard, vision swimming. Rhodes loomed over him, weapon raised. Search the property, he ordered. Woods shed everywhere. And if she's not here, he glared down, we'll make Shepard talk. In the doorway, Boone turned away, unable to watch. That's when Thorne knew. The unthinkable wasn't a choice anymore. It was the only path left. He pushed up, blood dripping from his split lip. Outside, torches fanned through the trees. They'd scour every inch. Find Kiona eventually, unless he gave them a bigger target, himself. You want to know who stole your cattle? Thorne said, voice steady despite the throbbing in his skull. I did. Silence. Rhodes blinked. What? I stole them, 6 head. Drove them into the Badlands 3 nights ago. Sold them to rustlers for $60. Rhodes' rifle dipped slightly. You're lying. Protecting her. No. Thorne turned to Nolan. You said she was found near the missing cattle? That's because she saw me. She was camped in that canyon. Witnessed the whole thing. You've been hunting her not because she stole, but because she saw me. The lie was clean. Plausible. Designed to stick. From the shadows beyond the window. Kiona gasped. She'd slipped out through the loft, listening. No. She stepped into the torchlight, knife raised, face fierce despite her exhaustion. He's lying. I'm the one you want. Take me. Leave him alone. Rhodes swung his rifle toward her, but Thorne moved faster, stepping between them, shielding her with his body. She's confused, he said quickly. Thinks she's protecting me, but I already confessed. She's just a witness who happened to be in the wrong place. He's protecting me, Kiona cried. Thorne turned and locked eyes with her, sharp, silent. Trust me, be quiet. Her words died. She saw it then. If she named Boone, they'd both die. If Thorne took the blame, she lived. You have a choice, Thorne said to Rhodes, still watching Kiona. Chase a woman through these mountains and risk losing her, or take the man who actually did it. Right here, Rhodes waited. A white rancher's confession? That satisfied the settlers. Made him look fair. Justice served, clean, public, unquestionable. Where's the money? Rhodes demanded, buried behind the shed. Tin box. Nolan returned minutes later with $58, Thorne's entire savings. Found it exactly where he said, he confirmed. Rhodes stared at the cash, then at Thorne. Too specific to be fiction. Too damning to ignore. Tie him up. Rope bit into Thorne's wrists as they bound him. He didn't resist. His eyes stayed on Kiona, watching horror, grief, then understanding flood her face. No, she whispered. Don't do this. There's nothing to tell, he said gently. Go home. Live your life. That's all I ask. Rhodes yanked him toward the door. Thorne glanced back at his cabin. 3 years of silence, gone in one night. But as he saw Kiona standing in the doorway, tears cutting tracks through the blood and dirt on her cheeks, he felt something long buried rise in his chest. Purpose. They dragged him toward the horses. Behind them, Boone stood frozen, guilt like a stone in his throat. And in the doorway, Kiona made her own choice. She wouldn't run. She wouldn't hide. She wouldn't let Thorne die for a lie. By false dawn, They marched him into the settlement, gray light washing over dusty buildings. His wrists bled, his jaw ached, but his head stayed high. Kiona followed on his horse, unnoticed. Free, innocent, and utterly trapped by what she'd witnessed. The town square centered on an old oak, the hanging tree. Thorn knew it well. "Gather around," Rhodes' voice boomed. "I've got the cattle thief." Doors opened, windows lifted, faces appeared. Blacksmith, shopkeeper, neighbors, 30, maybe 40, some shocked, most satisfied. Rhodes stood on the settlement hall steps like a judge. This man confessed. Sold 6 head to rustlers. We found the money. Tried to blame an Apache woman. He paused. Penalty for cattle theft? Death by hanging. Anyone object? Silence. Not agreement. Fear. Thorn's gaze found Kiona at the edge of the crowd. Her eyes burned. Rage, grief, resolve. He gave the tiniest shake of his head. "Don't." She looked away. "Hanging at noon," Rhodes declared. "Let justice be seen." 6 hours left. They locked Thorn in a windowless shed behind the hall. Dirt floor, smell of old leather, one guard outside. He leaned against the wall and thought not of the rope, but of his daughter's laugh, his wife's words. A man is measured not by what he takes, but what he gives up. He'd given everything for a stranger, and it felt right. Outside, voices argued, some calling the sentence too harsh, others demanding it happen now. Shepard never seemed like a thief, someone muttered. That's what makes him dangerous, another replied. The quiet ones. Time bled away. Thorn had no clock, only the slow creep of light beneath the door. Morning bled into midday. Heat pressed in. Sweat slicked his back. Then the door opened. Kiona slipped inside, closing it fast. The guard hadn't stopped her, bribed, charmed, or simply broken by conscience. "I'm getting you out," she whispered. "No." Thorn's voice was firm. "It's done. You're safe. That's what matters. Safe." Anger flashed in her eyes. "You think I can live knowing an innocent man died for me? That I ran while you hanged?" She knelt. "I won't let it happen." "You don't have a choice. There's always a choice." Her gaze burned. Boone's out there, sick with guilt, vomiting behind the store. Can't look anyone in the eye. He wants to confess. He's just terrified of Rhodes. Rhodes. We'll never let him. Then I'll make him confess in front of enough witnesses that Rhodes can't silence. Him, Thorn started to speak, but she cut him off. "I didn't ask you to die for me. And I won't accept your sacrifice." She stood. "My mother used to say, debts of blood are paid in action. You gave me my life." She moved to the door. "Now I'm giving you yours." She vanished before he could stop her. Alone in the dark, Thorn felt dread coil in his gut. Whatever Kiona planned would either save them both, or hang her beside him. She found Boone behind the livery stable, slumped on a water trough, head in his hands, fragile, hollowed out. "You can't sleep," she said. "Not a question." He jerked up, eyes bloodshot, face ashen. "Leave me alone. Saw you try to eat at the store. Saw you run out to vomit." She sat beside him, hands clear of her knife. "The guilt's eating you alive. You don't know me. I know you stole 6 head, drove them toward the Badlands. Saw me watching and let Rhodes blame me." Her voice stayed calm. "And now an innocent man is going to hang for your crime." Boone stood shaking. He confessed. "We both know it's a lie. He's protecting me, and by staying silent, you're killing him. I didn't ask for this." "Then stop it." She stepped closer. "Tell the truth now before it's too late." "I can't." His whisper cracked. "If Rhodes finds out, his reputation, everything he's built, it collapses. He'll never forgive me. So Thorn Shepard should die instead?" Kiona's voice hardened. "A man who lost his wife and daughter to fever, who lived alone for 3 years because grief was too heavy to share, who gave everything to save a stranger." She leaned in. "He deserves to hang so you can avoid disappointing your stepfather?" Boone turned away, trembling. "Why did you do it?" she asked softly. "Because nothing is mine," he said, hollow. "Clothes, horse, food, everything's his. I stole those cattle just to prove I could do something on my own." He laughed bitterly. "Now I'm more his possession than ever." "If you want to be your own man," Kiona said, "act like one. Fear doesn't excuse silence. It's not that simple." "It is." She held his gaze. "In 2 hours they'll hang Thorn from that oak, and you'll watch knowing you could have stopped it." She paused. Is that who you want to be? Boone crumpled. Tears fell. I'm scared. Good, she said gently. Fear means you still have a soul. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right despite it. She placed a hand on his shoulder. My people say, the weight of a lie grows heavier every day. But the moment you speak the truth, no matter how painful, you become free. She turned to leave. I'm going to the hall to tell everyone. If you want to speak for yourself, with dignity, come with me. She walked away. 10 seconds of silence. Then, footsteps. Heavy. Reluctant. But following. The square was already filling. A rope hung from the oak, tested ready. Kiona climbed the settlement hall steps. Boone followed, pale but resolute. I need to speak, she called. Heads turned. Murmurs rose. Confusion sharpened when they saw Boone beside her. Sterling Rhodes shoved through the crowd. Boone, get down! This isn't your concern. It is, Boone said, voice shaking but clear. Thorn Shepherd didn't steal the cattle. I did. Silence crashed down. Rhodes' hand flew to his pistol. Boy, think very carefully. I've thought of nothing else. Boone faced the crowd. I stole the cattle. Sold them in the Badlands. She saw me. He pointed to Kiona. She's innocent. He's innocent. I'm the thief. Gasps, shouts, disbelief. He's lying. Rhodes barked, confused. Trying to save a guilty woman. I'm telling the truth, Boone said, locking eyes with his stepfather. And you know it. That's why you wanted her dead. Because she saw me. Because the truth would destroy you. Rhodes' fingers tightened on his gun. Kiona saw it. The flicker of a man ready to kill even his own son to protect his name. But before the pistol cleared the holster, Nolan Cassidy's hand clamped down on Rhodes' wrist. Don't, the foreman said, low and firm. Too many witnesses. Too much truth already spoken. Rhodes whirled. Let go. No, sir. Nolan didn't flinch. I've followed you 15 years. But this is wrong. And you know it. Others joined in. The boy confessed. Shepherd's innocent. Release him! The blacksmith, a mountain of a man, stepped forward. Get Shepherd out now. 3 men sprinted to the shed. Rhodes stood frozen, watching his empire of fear and control crumble in real time. The shed door burst open. Thorn emerged, blinking in the sun. Wrists still bound until someone cut the ropes. He saw Kiona, saw Boone, understood instantly. What happened? He asked. Justice, Kiona said simply. She walked to him, placed a hand over his heart. You gave me life. She nodded toward Boone. He gave you yours. We're even. Thorn looked at Boone. The young man met his gaze, eyes full of shame, gratitude, resolve, and gave a single solemn nod. Then Rhodes' voice cut through the moment, raw and desperate. This isn't over. He stole cattle. He'll hang like any thief. No. An older woman pushed through the crowd, Rhodes' wife, Boone's mother. She climbed the steps slowly, her face etched with decades of silence. Enough blood, she said, quiet but unshakable. Enough lies. Enough pride at the cost of lives. She looked at her husband. I've stood beside you through everything. But not this. Not anymore. Rhodes stared at her as if she'd struck him. You can't mean... I do, she said, turning to the crowd. Boone will work off his debt. He'll labor for every rancher who lost cattle, make full restitution. But there will be no hanging. Not today. Not for a 20-year-old boy who finally found the courage to face his mistake. She looked at her son. And you'll accept whatever this settlement decides, without your stepfather's protection. Boone nodded, relief and sorrow mingling on his face. Yes, ma'am. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Cattle theft was serious, but he'd confessed, shown remorse, and an innocent man had nearly died for his silence. That mattered. What about him? Someone called, pointing at Rhodes. He tried to hang an innocent man, twice. That's attempted murder. Rhodes paled. He scanned the square, saw judgment in every eye. His pistol slipped from his fingers, clattering on the steps. I was protecting my family, he whispered. You were protecting your pride, the blacksmith shot back. And that almost cost 2 lives. Nolan Cassidy stepped forward. Sterling Rhodes steps down from all authority. Sells his ranch. Leaves this territory in 30 days. That's my recommendation. Heads nodded. Rhodes opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked at his wife, his stepson, the people who once bowed to his name. Then, shoulders slumped, he walked away. Thorn watched him go. No triumph, no pity. Just quiet relief that it was over. Kiona touched his arm. Your cabin's still standing. I checked this morning. I know, he said, meeting her eyes. But I'm not sure I want to go back there alone. Something flickered in her gaze. Hope, tempered by caution. You saved my life, she said softly, and proved not everyone here sees me as the enemy. She paused. I could help you rebuild, if you'd have me. Thorn thought of 3 years spent hiding from grief instead of living through it. Existing, not breathing. I'd have you, he said. They walked to his horse. The crowd parted, some nodding, others watching in silence. The woman once invisible was now seen, and the man who'd nearly hanged for her had shown that the most impossible choice could also be the most human. As they rode toward the mountains, Kiona glanced back. You think they'll remember this? That a man confessed to save someone he barely knew? Whether that makes me a fool or something else, Thorn said. I don't know. But I can live with either, she smiled. I think it makes you decent. And in places like this, that's rare enough to be worth everything. The cabin appeared as the sun hit its peak. Noon, the hour he was meant to die. Instead, he was riding home with someone who refused to let him face the end alone. Not a miracle. Just 2 people choosing truth over lies, courage over fear, and against all odds, finding a reason to keep living. If this story moved you, click the video on your screen now to discover another tale where one choice changes everything in the untamed frontier. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're able, leave a super chat to help us bring you more stories like this. Your support means the world.